Okay, so I got some strata mat and coupling membrane cut. For the floor, everything is washed down, but I'm going to hit it one more time because this concrete is pretty thirsty as soon as I grinded it down. I'm going to thin set this down, and then we thin set our mud to that. So there we go. Not much room in here. I got the camera, but I'm going to show you what's in there. So with the full effects adapter and all that, I got about to the top of the flange, I got 1.25 inches. So 2 foot 3 inches, which is 27, 1/4 inch per foot. So 2 feet, that's a 1/2 inch. Then you got basically a 16. So all we got to do is 1/2 inch heavy. But I want to go slightly more. It doesn't ever hurt to go a little bit more on the slope. If you have anything less, then the water might sit. Alright, so I have 3 3/16 spacers and 1 1/8. I measure them together tight. I got slightly more than 5/8. So let's see if I put these on here on the edge. That's level. And that is up, look at that. So we're pretty much at our pitch right there. So I'm up. See, here's the problem with these drains is that I really can't change to try to make it level. I can't try to mud this side up. It's just going to pull it out, and this gets it glued in. So when I glue it and I push it down here tight, it's just going to stay there. The reason why I mentioned that with this drain, Flolex makes a really great product, but with any drain like this that you connect to a 3-piece drain that gets glued in this fashion, you can't really adjust the level of it because it's glued into the existing 3-piece drain. So whatever that drain's doing, it's going to follow that. So that's the only downside of doing this. If you have the opportunity to jack out the concrete slab, or even better if it's a wood substrate, then no problem to cut that out and glue in the drain directly, and then you can, you know, pull up the flange here or there and mud it up to get it nice and level. But just thought I'd mention that. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're just going to go slightly more than minimum. You never want to go, you can go with the minimum, but if something's off a little bit here and there, then it might affect it. So we're just going to put a 16 spacer there. Alright, we got a thin set. Going back to this ledger here. That just helps bond it to the wall. Just another thing I like to do with my mortar bed installations when I use this method, using the laser with the ledger strips I have going around, that I use mortar to bottom to the wall, and I use fasteners to screw them to the studs. When you do that this way, you want to make sure you take pictures of everything, mark everything, so you don't put a screw in a pipe or something like that, electrical line. But you want to just pre-plan everything out, then set it on there, fasten it onto the wall. And by using this method, it ensures you to get it perfectly level. Now, mudding it and doing all that is definitely an acquired skill, and it takes a lot of time to get really good at it. But doing it this way ensures a perfectly level perimeter. A lot of guys will come in and say, I can mud a whole shower in 15-20 minutes. That's good and great, but there's no way they're going to be as accurate as this. I've come behind guys that mudded showers and they're off a 1/2 inch from one to the other because they just throw the mud in there and they try to screed it, and it's just not accurate. Now, it works doing that way, setting mud screeds around, that definitely works. It just takes time to do it, and it's a higher skill that most people don't have. I sometimes do it, but most of the time I use this method. If it's a really big shower, sometimes I get a custom foam tray or that, because the bigger the shower, the thicker the mud has to be to get the slope. But this is your kind of standard shower. This was like a 4x4 or so, this shower. But just my method and how I like to do my showers that are, up to like a 5x3, even 6x3. I like to use mud most of the time, and this is, again, the method, the technique I like to use to get it perfectly level, get the slope accurate as possible, never having a clawback for water sitting anywhere. Now, let's say you did do this mud, and for some odd reason there's a dip somewhere. Well, that's not too much of a problem. You come in the next day, you can fill it in with a patch material approved for wet area, or you can use some thin set and let that dry. That's no more than like a quarter or so thick on a patch that you have to do. If it's a little bit high, you could take a rubbing stone here and there and you know, buff it out, grind it down with that. You don't want to wait for days and days, because the older the mortar bed is, the harder it's going to be. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Put it down to here. That's going to be our mark. Put the mark right there. So that's my mark. And my right this side is going to be up. This is going to be down. That way when we go around, we don't flip it over like that or backwards. We know that we put it on there. It's going to be in that line every time. So basically what I do now is I just kind of work it around. I just like to put spaces on it just so I can support it when I screw it in, because it might want to pull up or down a little bit. Put some screws and studs here. Alright, we got one each stud. Check my pictures again just to confirm. I know I'm good, but just going to make sure there's nothing down there low for me to hit. The electrical lines up here, we got nail plates, but there's absolutely nothing down low. So, what I'm going to do is put a screw in between each stud. So what happens as you start screeding, you might push it down a little bit. Thin set won't be dry yet to hold it there. So between each stud, this definitely takes some time versus just doing mud around the perimeter and screeding off of that. And that works, but you tend to dig in, and then you kind of lose your line, this and that, and some guys use levels. This works the best that I've found. If there's a better way, let me know. But this, for me, I would say most case scenarios is definitely going to be the most accurate way you can do it. Thing sitting on the wall and screwing it, this part is not moving, plus the wall tile is going to come out to about that size anyway, and you get the sheet memory going over it, so it's plenty strong. Staples has everything your business needs. Okay, so I got all the ledgers up. Drain is pretty much prepped. Got fresh PVC glue. Now the glue's gonna go on the outside of this. That's gonna insert into there. So fill the cavities in the membrane. I have a mark here and a mark there, just to make sure that my drain is square as I can get it. A little bit of adjustment with the grate, but you want to get as close as you can, so that way everything's going to be where you want it. Back, we're going to fill these cavities now, just because it's easier to do it now. And I got my mud in the room, so that way once I set this with glue, I can pack thin set under this and still not have it flash on too quickly. So you're ready to go. Glue and the primer. Prime everything up now. Just want to give the glue a good shake. Hold down there for 30 seconds. Okay, thank God I did this now and pull this out. I was able to get it out. I'm just gonna have to just stuff some stuff down there, block the drain. Let the cabinets get down there, clog shit up.